To order, if you please join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for the record. Mayor Lindsay,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Here.
Councillor Crane,
Here.
Councillor Weeks is not here, and Councillor Humbert.
Here.
We have a quorum. You may proceed.
This time, I'd like to get a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I could please get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to requests and responses from the audience. We do have Attila Valerie who would like to address.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Manager Weir. My name is Attila Baldi. I'm Chair of the Comprehensive Planning Committee. My comments are really accolades to village staff for helping to organize and coordinate the town hall we had this past weekend. I'm really appreciative that the mayor and councilors, police chief, fire chief were present for that activity. Also, very appreciative of all the committee chairs that were staffing the tables at the town hall. Santos will cover that in more detail a little bit later on. This was our first real civic engagement opportunity for people to comment and about the plan and talk to it. I put this idea together in January, came to fruition. It's all I expected it could be from the input we had. I thought of it very well. We had some good feedback as well from a couple of committee chairs. One was just the opportunity to engage with the community on different topics. Another one was surprised at the results of the dot voting and made him rethink the objectives he'd already started thinking about based on community input, which is very valuable. Last comment is that our committee has really 3 active members, not including the council liaison and Santos' staff. We asked for our project manager to support this effort in March, and I'm hoping the village will expedite a contract so we can get the comp plan completed in a timely fashion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay. At this time, I'd ask if there's any announcements or proclamations by the council. If not, we'll move on to staff reports. I'll see Mr. Gilmore here, so we'll move on to our project manager, director, Rocky Lira.
Hello, Mayor Lindsay, Councilman, Clerk Lindsay. You set up some slides there, Clerk. Thank you. My report's going to be just a update on a few of the projects that I'm working on. And so the first project, of course, is our workforce housing 2025. And it's happy to know that HUD has verbally approved our contract to move forward, but we haven't received the paper contract yet. And so we're waiting for that. We've also, if you haven't noticed that we received an additional $489,000 for the project, which brings the total of this grant amount to 2.9 million and a little bit more. So hopefully we get that contract soon so we can start. The second was a Fire Station 1. We've waiting to receive our appropriation funding of 5.22 million. Sometime in July, we're hoping we'll get that soon. The design group is near complete with a site plan. What they've got right now is enough, I think, to go ahead and submit for a village building permit. And in maybe 4 to 6 weeks, it sounds like the design group will be complete with a set of building plans that we can use. And at that point, we'll apply for a CID building permit for the fire station. The Frank Young Trail, we've received an evaluating cost estimates from both Dennis Engineering and Consensus. There's an issue on this project because we don't have approved right of way of the trail to go through the resort property, mainly lot number 196. And so that's something we're gonna have to work around. We either have to move the trail around or do it and come up with some new ideas. Mr. Ware had come up with an idea today, maybe to have a trail cut maybe from the high school to the sports complex. Just another thought. We have to look into how it affects the grant. So there's some work that has to be done on that. For Allen Fields, the infrastructure of the utility is in progress. Kurt informed me today that the water main is pretty much complete. Phase one architecture design for the bathroom facilities, the concession stand and the stadium lighting. That should be done about the end of July, maybe earlier. The next steps is to work on a Trails Plus funding opportunity to do the actual construction of the bathrooms and the concession stand and the lighting. But there's a risk here, and that goes back to the previous slide of the trail. Because if we're not able to put that trail in, we're not gonna be able to apply for funding for this part of this project. Because the Trails Plus grant requires that we have built these restrooms and concession stands at the end of a trail. So if we don't build the trail, then we can't apply for the grant for this piece. So I listed that as a risk, that the construction might not get funding from the Trails Plus grant. Angel Fire Airport, we had a bid posted and we had 6 vendors there, which is a surprise. But the RFB, the request for bid, is including the repairs for the existing hangar doors, the 4-bay hangar, the snow structure over the aircraft, self-serve fueling pumps, and the containment pad for the fueling trucks. The vendor bids are due on July 1. And so a vendor contract will be established by July 15th. Of course, the work needs to be completed by October 30th, given our season. They only have maybe a month or two in next year if they don't make it if they don't complete by October 30th. And I'll stand for any questions on any of those if you have any.
Sure, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our planning and zoning director, Reg Bourgeois.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, councilors, clerk, and village manager. First of all, I'd like to start out with that we're still hot. Last time I was here, we had about 47% increase year over year in that same period of time. Right now, we're at 40%. Only 2 weeks later, we're still hot in terms of getting a lot of permits in. We right now have 70 permits. Last year, we only had 49 at this particular time from the beginning of January. The last week, two new starts. New starts are a little bit slowing down, but we had 5 and we start looking at the next cycle. But right now, combos are a hot item. We've stepped up compliance in a major way, specifically signage. We've been looking at the signage up and down, especially up and down 434, and making sure some of the things that we've been concentrating on is like the feather banners, those 8 to 10 foot banners that are leaning up, blowing in the wind, moving them outside of DOT, the DOT easements and so on, and making sure they understand the compliance with those particular signs. We've had 47 visits in the last 2 weeks to the 10-month window that I'm looking at for permits. And what I mean by that is 10 months ago, somebody submitted a permit, and through that 10-month period, that are coming up on 2 to 3 months out from being an expired permit. Okay, we've looked at those. We've only had 1 citation that's been issued out, and we have 3 of those that are in jeopardy of needing a new renewal of their permits. But it's 47 visits to date. And we're gonna roll through those randomly every 4 to 6 weeks and start pulling up old permits and finding out what's going on. Next piece. So far, we've had again those 3 for renewal. We're gonna contact those people and make sure they understand they're running out, they're expiring on their permits. Nothing's been done on those lots, so there's a likelihood that they will need a renewal or terminate their permit. Next thing, online. I've passed out a couple of documents there, just as samples for you. I'm going online on the 15th of July. I'm tired of looking at paper. I want the paper to be there, but be back up. So right now, all of those, I've got to get with Shay and get them up on the internet site, on planning and zoning internet site. but we're gonna move to a situation where we can, not only correspond, we can submit those documents easier and easier to read, and then have an automatic drop to our G drive and keep these for archive purposes. That's all I have that's new. As I say, we're right now still in the high season for permits and looking forward to the rest of the summer.
Bridge on those permits that expire after 12 months, is there, so. Number one, I, until recently wasn't aware that the village permit had an expiration date.
It can be renewed.
And two, I know that the Architectural Control Committee a few years ago went to 2 years. Mainly due to the COVID delays, but many projects are still taking more than a year. I don't know if you've considered just looking at offering it, maybe based on a project or something like that, if you've taken that into consideration.
Absolutely, and it's not like we're trying to be a Jabba the Hutt and keep people from doing that, but we want to make sure that they keep a current permit in there. And the other thing is they're not being recharged other than a renewal fee.
There is a renewal fee.
There is a renewal fee for it.
Andrew Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, we may need to amend the ordinance in order to accomplish that. But, that can be done at the will of the council.
That's a motion.
And try to get ahead of it so they're not expired and go through all kinds of crap getting a new one through.
Anything else for? Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.
But we have our Public Works Director, Kurt Epler.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Rick Strickland, Manager Weir. Report on Water Department. We do have a vendor that will be installing the fence in the Tank 7 project with the brown chain link fence. Surveying will take place shortly. The materials are 6 to 8 weeks out. But then should go up relatively quick once the materials come in. It's a Tribe West fencing out of Bernalillo. They do have a statewide price agreement and they were put in contact with them by Dennis Engineering. I will say that the cost of the fence is 30% less than what it was going to cost under the file construction contract had we kept it with them. So cost actually went down. Work on the landscaping will take place in the fall. As trees, when they're planted, have a better chance of survival being planted then as opposed to midsummer. So we will either be going to request for bid or RFP for that is here probably after the beginning of the fiscal year to try to at least get it nailed down who's gonna do that. And did get a design for tree planting in the area. It's pretty extensive. We may not go to the extent that it is. It's quite a bit. But it's something we're required to do with the in getting that property turned over for the installation of that tank. The water department has repaired multiple fire hydrants, were the ones that they could with the parts they had on hand. I think today they repaired the 5th one. We're discovering that what they're finding out there is about 90% of the non-functioning fire hydrants or those that weren't passing inspection can be repaired as opposed to being dug up and replaced. We just got to get the right parts and we're expediting that. They did replace one hydrant that had been had the top off of it for many years, and it went well. Meter installations are going well. Water leak repairs are going well. The water department is just doing well, so they really, really are great team. Streets department, again, we went through a challenge of just a few days of dry weather. We start seeing the impact on roads. We were out in force today. Streets department is also close to finishing up the temporary event center, and all the utilities are in. We're taking advantage of dry ground in between the rainstorms. We'll be helping Director Ralph and his staff assemble the stage and the tent the rest of this week, and our target right now is put the tent up starting on Monday. And we will be, looks like we'll be pulling people from Public Works to do that, because it calls for 10 to 12 people for assembly. And so Streets has been doing a lot to help out other departments. I was glad to hear that Balloons Over Angel Fire went very well. Heard nothing but compliments about Miss Julie Cohan and her parking operation. And she even came out of it with a couple of bruised ribs, so she was really taking it for the team out there. So I'm glad it went very well. It's gonna continue to grow. That's really all the reports I have for roads and infrastructure right now. No new news to report on solid waste. Maintenance department did just recently hire a third employee. They've been doing a really good job getting after things. They're gonna be mowing and getting our facility behind Village Hall here looking nice prior to our events starting, and they will be installing some plantings, some hanging plants on 10 light posts on North Angel Fire Road. And they have been, while I was in my absence, they connected with the garden club. And Mr. Romero and his crew are really helping them out a lot. And I think we're gonna see the median looking better this summer than it was last. Stand for any questions.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Next on the agenda is our police chief, Jerry Coker.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Manager, Clerk Strickland. Before you should have the monthly recap for May of 2025. Calls for service, 78 through Red River Dispatch, 57 through the police department, our business number, for a total of 135, which was a reduction from April. Calls for service with incidents, there was 57 documented, more or less the same as what we had in April. We did clear one warrant, did not generate any new ones. There were 3 arrests. 1 crash report, traffic citations were 63. I wanted to point out 33 of those were over Memorial Weekend when we did the Super Blitz, participated in the state Traffic Safety Bureau. Funding, which also included a sobriety checkpoint. And I apologize why I don't have non-traffic citations here. I guess I just forgot to look at those and put them on this list here. As I mentioned, a sobriety checkpoint was held on May 24th. We, as a department, have completed our annual firearms qualifications. Our officers, including myself, did attend in-person training over in Red River, which included legal update on new legislative matters and information from our district attorney's office. We have identified a Department of Justice funding opportunity for a police officer. Thank you, Julie, for bringing that to our attention, and I'm working, Rocky's doing that application, helping, assisting with some of the information. Continue to work on the updated policy manual with Lexipol. This is paid for by the New Mexico Self-Insured Fund, so other than my type of involvement, it is essentially free to us. And managed to complete personnel evaluations for this fiscal year, going into effect for July. Part of the ongoing budget submissions and so forth. And I worked with New Mexico Department of Transportation out of Eagle Nest, identifying some missing signs, got knocked down, plowed over, driven over, crashed into, whatever, throughout the winter, that are on the Highway 434 right-of-way area, and they'll be replacing those damaged or missing signs.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Chief Algriff, when you were working with DOT, did y'all request to have the visitors sign moved? There's a visitor center sign over here pointing to the old one.
I did not.
Okay.
I can get,
Yeah, if you don't mind that.
yes,
We're
absolutely.
gonna get that moved for a little while, and
I
Maybe
will
you'll have
absolutely
more
make a note to It was Steve. And with that, I
Chief,
stand for questions. Yes,
I've
sir.
noticed a couple comments on Facebook about unidentified people, particularly on residential property. I'm wondering what the scope of that is to your knowledge and what your concerns are.
Well, there were enough concerns that I came before council last month with a prowling ordinance, which would cover that. I am aware, and I follow some of the Facebook postings as well, so I've seen those. I'm not prepared to tell you how many calls we've had in our office about prowling events or trespassing events. I could look that up and get back to you, Mr. or Counselor Hell. But, yes, I'm concerned enough that I brought a prowling ordinance, before you guys for approval, and it's my understanding that gets enacted, codified,
Tomorrow, but
tomorrow.
we're tied up all day, so I'll send it.
There we go.
Thursday.
So we should have it by early.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then finally, for staff reports, our code enforcement officer, Joel Legg.
EJ Mayor Lindsay, Andrew Weir, Councilman, Clerk Strickland. So I just want to start out with, as Reggie said before, we have been seeing some pretty good progress as far as the compliance side goes. To move on with the update, in the months of May and June, there's been a major increase in compliance from businesses and residents. We are keeping a very close eye on these matters and have been very successful in resolving non-compliance issues through effective communication and team effort. A spreadsheet of all the open permits has also been completed, as Reggie said before. And a list of addresses without address markers has also been completed as well, and we do intend to act on that once an effective game plan is established. So we plan to jump on that as soon as we can. Also, signage within the village and DOT right of way has also been strictly enforced. The Angel Fire Police Department and P&Z have worked together really well, and it is crucial that we continue to do so. So it's been pretty smooth sailing so far, I think. Moving on to citations issued, there were 3 citations that were issued in the month of June, 2 of which were court summons for non-compliance. Moving on to stop work orders, in the month of May, there was only 1 issued, but they came into compliance real quickly. We hope that would increase in the weeks to come or months to come. And moving on to calls for service. 7 calls for service have been entered into Mark 43, our reporting system. And the month of May, 5 calls for service were entered in Mark 43 for this current month. So that'll probably increase as well until the month is over. So far, I think it's been going good. We plan to crack down on this professionally and in an effective manner. So with that, any questions?
Manager Weir?
Yes, Mayor, Council, Officer, like, do we have, do you know how many open red tags or stop orders that we have? I know, it sounds like we issued one new one, but do we have other ones that are out there that are not yet into compliance?
As far as now, Manager Weir, I do not know of any. The last report I did were the last stop work orders that were issued before this one. That one was for a fence up on Meadow Glen. But so far, we're keeping a solid eye on this, and I think they will increase once something is wrong, if we find something, so.
Anybody else for this?
Thank you.
Okay, on to committee reports. Santos Martinez would like to discuss the comprehensive planning committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Manager Weir. We've been looking at the update for the comprehensive plan for roughly about a year. And what we've done as an approach is you've got a lot of working committees, airport committee, fire adaptive committee, workforce housing committee, night skies committee, and utilizing that as a base for focus groups. In addition to talking to our departments within the village, fire department, police department, trying to get a template of goals, objectives, mission statements, issues, and challenges. And so we've compiled those templates into the boards you see along the wall. which we used on Saturday for our first town hall meeting, which I believe was quite successful. We had, I think at one point, 100 people in the room, very engaged and active. Depending on the board, you got 6 dots to vote or 3 dots to vote. And so everybody, all the boards were literally touched. We have in the corner where, when you came to the welcome table, please put a dot where your house is located, and you'll see people are from all across the village. Obviously, it was a resort membership meeting, and so we had a lot of the resort subdivisions represented, but you still had people outside of those subdivisions still present. And so we have agreed early on at the comprehensive plan committee to do an update to the 2008 plan rather than revise and prepare a brand new one. And so in the 2008 plan, we've looked to replace the community profile, land use state section, recreation, open space, quality of life, transportation, economic development, and utilities. And right now, working through the goals, objectives, and the templates that we've put forth that the committee members have gathered from all these conversations. We've got a working draft on the profile, the utilities, and the utilities are broken out of water, wastewater, septic system, sanitary mains, water supply, water infrastructure, roads, solid waste, storm drainage. We've got a transportation section that now talks about the airport that's now active and hopefully transferred ownership to the village. Tourism section and recreation trails are also in a draft form. And so we'd like to continue working through this draft. I think it was evident from the success we had on Saturday to do this again, maybe with more emphasis on full-time residents that are here and trying to get that scheduled as well. But I feel that we can move quite quickly, just updating the draft narrative chapters that we've got. We've already compiled the results from all the boards based on all the committees of how many people voted for objective 5, for objective 14. That's all been calculated. Attila is working on the word cloud of the overall vision board that was presented as well. And so we could provide another update for the council at that time, but I believe things are moving in the right direction. We've got a lot of participation along the committee levels that continues to be engaged, and we'd like to keep using that energy to keep this plan moving forward. Several questions you may have.
Mayor, Council, Santos, I just want to recommend that we, if you're going to do a full-fledged update, that it be done in a work session. So we have time to focus on that topic.
I agree, and the way that path is supposed to also go, there's a conversation at P&Z to bring forward to you as well. And so there's going to be a conversation at this level, at the P&Z level, to make sure that it's almost like a zoning application, right? And if we do a joint work session with P&Z, I've seen that done as well, but that's totally within the realm of this process. So it's just a matter of how do we get this draft form moving into a mid-level form kind of thing and capture this conversation that we saw on Saturday? Because I believe it was very active. We're going back to the committees with their boards. This is what we heard, and how do we integrate that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, without any old business, we'll move on to new business. Item A, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-30, various bars.
Good evening. Sorry about that. I thought it was item B. We've got 183,000 that we want to increase by. It's balloons over Angel Fire, advertising, and 60,000 in the community center for an opening. All right, we have an opening date for the community center coming up. It looks like
June the 3rd.
No, July.
July 3rd, sorry. I wish it was June the 3rd.
Questions or discussion? Not, I ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-30, various bars.
Roll call vote on item A. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item B, I'd like to open discussion to approval to apply for the COPS hiring grant. Mr. Lira.
Hello again, Mayor Lindsay, Manager Ware, Councilman and Coach Strickland. What you have in front of you is a request for approval to apply for the COPS hiring program. The funding under this program is to be used to hire or rehire career sworn-in law enforcement officers in a variety of categories. And you should know the village, we're asking for funding for a seventh law enforcement officer here in the village to help out the team here. But you should also know that the maximum federal share per officer position is $125,000, but that's for the 3-year period, which requires a 25% match from the village as well. And so just trying to ask for any questions you have on it.
Any questions from Mr. Lira? Further discussion? If not, I ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion for approval to apply for the COPS hiring grant.
Second.
Roll call vote on item B. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Moving on to item C, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-28, a resolution adopting the FY 2027-2031 infrastructure capital improvement plan, ICIP.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Manager Weir, and Clerk Strickland. From our council work session on the 17th, the rating and ranking is before you. This is what's going to be turned in. The resolution is required by the state for the ICIP. And I ask that if you have any questions or want to change any rankings, please let me know. Other than that, I just ask for approval of this resolution.
Just for the community information, I'll run it down real quick, do unless you'd like to.
I can do that, Mayor.
Okay.
Okay, for our first priority for the 2027-31 ICIP, the first priority is water line and fire hydrant replacement in the Monteverde Lake area. That's priority 1. Next is water rights. That's number 2. Tank 8 upsizing. That is a new project. That is priority 3. The repair of water tanks 2 and 4. That is priority 4. Workforce housing phase 2 is 5. The event center is number 6. Bill Burgess Road is 7. The Angel Fire Sports Complex is 8. Monteverde subs and water and sewer is 9. Fire Station 1 is 10. The community center improvements is 11. Lakeview Park Drive paving is 12. Pedestrian trails is 13. Workforce housing phase 1 is 14. Armijo Drive water and sewer is 15. Workforce housing phase 3 is 16. Workforce housing phase 4 is 17. The Veterans Wellness and Healing Center is 18. The new police station is 19, and the radio tower for emergency communications is number 20.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
There's no further questions or discussion. I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
Make the motion to approve resolution 2025-28, a resolution adopting the FY 2027 to 2031 infrastructure capital improvement plan.
Second.
Roll call vote on item C. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, item D, I'd like a discussion to approve resolution 2025-31, investigation into traffic violation fines. Chief Ogre.
Good evening again, Mayor, Council, Manager, Clerk. This is an annual requirement. It's not really a requirement. It's an annual thing the village has always done to pass a resolution to look into traffic penalty fines from other communities. See if we're in check, if we're below, above, whatever. Almost didn't put this on the agenda or because we just recently did our traffic PAs, but it'll be on there and it gives us the ability to just investigate it. So I would ask for your consideration and approval.
There's no questions or further discussion. I just want to Pro Tem Howe to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-31, investigation into traffic violation fines.
Second.
Roll call vote on item D. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item E, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-32. A resolution establishing fees and increasing the encroachment permit fee. Director Epler.
Yeah, Mayor, Council. Rich Whitman, Manager Weir. We have before you in resolution 2025-32 is an increase in rates that were last increased in 2012. It's for the sign components, address post, but also the encroachment permit fee and security deposit.
So, Director Epler, can you tell me what the increases are? I know that the encroachment permit is going up slightly. I know the deposit is.
Yes, the encroachment permit fee was $100. It's now $200. The security deposit was $1,500. It's now $3,000.
Can you explain why you'd like to see that increase?
Well, there's many reasons why, but one example I'll give is it's grown to the point where a $1,500 deposit would be quickly forfeited as the cost of properly building the driveway is significantly more. Things that gives us a little more meat in the game, but also as we know, the construction of driveways and poor maintenance of them as one of our biggest impacts on our roads up here and drainage. And the whole process, quite frankly, has not been taken very seriously by some people. Some people are great with it and follow to the T. But just given the fact that it has not increased in quite some time, and felt it was time, dare I say, just get people to take it a little more seriously.
So a couple of questions and totally agree with your sentiment there. There's not enough skin in the game. But is the security deposit, if work in the easement is not done to specification, are we able to use those funds to go rectify that? Since, you know, we own the dirt technically there, can we go fix it with that amount of money? Does that feel like that's enough to go rectify the problems that you've seen typically?
Yes, because I think there were multiple situations where the current rate wasn't sufficient to repair damage that was done.
And then secondly, I had heard, and I'm not sure if my memory is missing on this a little. If somebody walks away from one of these security deposits, are we able to consider that if they come back and apply for another one? If you have the same crew, in other words, it's being your problem crew out cutting in driveways not to spec, can we prevent them from getting another permit for failing on the previous one?
Well, I think it's something that needs to be addressed in village code. We're currently working with the Roads and Infrastructure Committee on examining Title VII and making some refinements there. I have mentioned that I feel that we have to get to a point where if somebody doesn't fulfill one, that maybe we just don't let them get another one. But it's open for discussion. I think it's something that there needs to be discussion.
I guess I would recommend if legally there's some reason why we can't if we cannot prevent them from getting a permit, that if they're a repeat offender, that we consider some type of multiplier on that deposit. In other words, if you're on your third one and all three have gone bad, well, it shouldn't be $3,000 anymore. It should ratchet up to push that pain back onto them instead of onto, the village and your crews to go fix it. So.
Yeah, and I think before even moving in that direction, I know we could have the discussion about it, but the legal question has to be asked.
Right.
What can we legally do? we don't wanna punish those that are doing it right.
For sure.
By no means. And this isn't about punishment, this is about protecting our community infrastructure, plain and simple.
Anything else for Director Epler? I'll ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make the motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-32, a resolution establishing fees and increasing the encroachment permit fee.
Second.
Roll call vote on item E. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. Item F, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-33 wildland protection fees. Vance.
Good evening, Mayor Lindsay, members of the council, Manager Weir, Clerk Strickland. In an effort to improve services of the Slash Department and meet the requests of the public, I recommend that we pass resolution 2025-33, which will allow the Slash Department a mechanism to accept and charge for stumps and pine needles based on a clear and understandable schedule. Charges for pine needles will remain unchanged. We will recommend that the wildland protection fees will also remain unchanged. And we currently have not worked out the equipment, the accounting, or the logistics to be able to accept payment. This is just our first step to enable us to be able to carry out the planning for those items. Until further notice, we cannot accept stumps, which we haven't been for a long time. And pine needles will still be accepted by solid waste until we're able to resolve all of those issues. I stand for any questions.
So,
Go
go ahead.
The intention will be to burn these, the clean stumps and the needles in the ACI with the other Slash materials.
Yeah, there is some verbiage in that resolution that states that we can't accept dirty stumps and things like that, and there will be some processing time. You've got to allow them to dry out over time before they can be burned, but yes, the intention is to burn them.
You said they haven't been accepting stumps,
Correct.
but they have been charging to be disposed of, right? Just throwing them into solid waste.
So Slash Department has not, but I believe solid waste has. I don't believe that the previous schedule was very clear on what to be charged for certain items, so we had we put quite a bit of language in there to be able to estimate what you'll be charged for the stump bid drop off. And I think this really enables contractors to be able to bring stumps and know exactly what they're gonna be charged when they bring it in as well.
Director Epler, if you don't mind me asking, do you know what Ben was charging to dispose of stumps, solid waste?
To my understanding, it was nothing more than 15 inches, but I don't know the dollar amount.
Yeah.
He wouldn't allow anything over 15 inches?
Correct, it would clog up their trailer, as I understand it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was based on yardage.
I don't think, to my recollection, it was charging enough to deter you from bringing it. I just remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manager Weir, I seem to recall in a meeting with the Arthur Roll-Off folks, they had a number for stumps. You don't have a recall what that was for the wagon mound, what they were charging if you wanted to stump down there.
Mr. Mayor, council, at Wagon Mound, they have a special dump location for material that is what's the word I'm looking for, but basically for organic, that's the word, thank you. And it is at a higher rate. I don't know the rate off the top of my head, but it's higher than our standard tonnage rate, and it is based on tonnage. Our charges were based on like what manning can do, what can one person manage by themselves, or what is gonna require equipment to do, et cetera. If you look at our large stumps, and our extra large stumps that we kind of label those as monster stumps or truck tire size. Between 31 and 48 inches, we'll accept a 48 inch stump, so that's pretty considerable compared to what we're accepting now, 15 inches or less. So at least we have a mechanism in place. It might be expensive, but at least we have something that we can do it. The monster stumps that are over 48 inches may require a individual quote for those items, and we'll leave that up to our wildland personnel to make that assessment. but at least someone would know in advance of what it would be charged to dispose of it. The important things to remember on the clean stumps only, a little note about the stump height and the root balls. There's some notes based on those, but at least people know what to expect when they go to drop them off at Slush.
And you're proposing no change to the wildland, the wildfire protection fees.
Correct, they're basically $4, and we don't have enough data to support an increase. But over the next year, we'll be collecting more data and that may change at a future point, but not recommended this time.
Anything else for Chief Vance? No, as Mayor Pro Tem, how to make a motion on item F.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-33 wildland protection fees.
Second.
Roll call vote on item F. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Moving on to item G, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-34 bulk water fees. Director Evler.
This resolution is for an increase in bulk water fees based on CPI increase of 2.9%. The new rate for 1,000 gallons will be $15.28, where previously it was $14.85 for 1,000 gallons.
Questions for Director Evler? Ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion on item G.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-34 bulk water fees.
Second.
Roll call vote on item G. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item G, I'll open discussion to approve resolution 2025-34. I'm sorry, item H. I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-35. Water sewer availability rates.
So this resolution is for the increase of water and sewer availability rates based on 2.9% increase in CPI. New rates will be for water availability, $13.15 per month, billed quarterly, $39.67. Sewer availability fee, $29.45 per month, billed semi-annually, $176.70.
Questions or discussion? Ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion on item H.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-35 water sewer availability rates.
Second.
Roll call vote on item H. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item I, vote to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-36. Meter installation charge. Director Epler.
This is resolution is for the increase in charges for the installation of water meters. Based on a 2.9% increase CPI. New installation charge rates are 5/8 sealed register, $2,171.19. 3/4 inch sealed register, $2,329.66. 1 inch sealed register, $2,622.92. 1.5 inch sealed register, $4,431.90. 2 inch sealed register, $4,830.13. 2 inch velocity meter, $4,937.14. 2 inch compound meter, $6,973.53. 3 inch velocity meter, $5,245.84. 3-inch compound meter, $7,153.61. 4-inch velocity meter, $8,012.82. 4-inch compound meter, $10,563.71. 6-inch velocity meter, $12,878.96. 6-inch compound meter, $17,222.37.
Questions or discussion? Not ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-36, meter installation charge.
Second.
Roll call vote on item I. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, open up item J for discussion, approve resolution 2025-37, the schedule of tap fees for multifamily structures.
I make a motion. A motion to approve resolution 2025-37, schedule of tap fees for multifamily structure.
Second.
Roll call vote on item J. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Open item K up for discussion to approve resolution 2025-38, solid waste transfer rate. Director Epler.
This resolution is for the rate increase for solid waste transfer. And items are construction and demolition materials, $20 to $21.61 per cubic yard. Construction and demolition heavy, $24.70. White goods large, $10.29. White goods small, $5.15. And that's by each unit. Refrigeration units with Freon, $47.33. Wood pallets, $1.03 each. Concrete, $79.23 per cubic yard. Tree stumps, $46.31 each. Asphalt paving, $57.62 a cubic yard. Tires up to 16 inches, $5.16 each. Tires 17 to 23 inches, $9.26 each. Tires greater than 23 inches, $15.44 each. Mattresses, $15.44 each.
We want to leave the tree stumps one on there?
I would think that the previous resolution was superseded. I think it started at 45, didn't it? On the other. What did we just look at? Go back through it.
I think so.
The basic bucket size. Was that $45?
Small stumps 30, medium stumps 60, so we've got a different pricing structure here.
This is also the solid waste enterprise.
This is solid waste versus.
Right,
Yeah, that's fair.
but do you want to have it two different places and two different prices, or do we strike it off as solid waste and make them take them to slash?
I think until we get the point of sale set up at Slash, I think this should be kept in place, my opinion.
So.
Mayor, council, I agree with Director Epler. Because we are not set up at this point to have Slash actually charge the fees that you approved. We need to have something in the stopgap. This will come before you again During this year, usually this is a once a year thing, but as soon as we get scales, we'll be diverting to tonnage rates instead of, cubic yard rates. So, many of these will change once we get the scales in place.
I would like to add, oh, I'm sorry, Manager.
That's also terrific. I was just gonna say, and at that point, if we have everything going at slash, it probably will make sense then to remove this from the pricing schedule for solid waste.
The only other reservation I would have, on completely removing it is if hours of operation or if solid waste differ from slash. And we still want to make have the opportunity for public to dispose of stumps. But that, the discussion once the point of sale is created for slash everything.
And if I understand it right, stumps and solid waste are restricted in size.
Yes. And I would note more so than what slash is restricted.
Please get a motion on item K.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-38 solid waste transfer rate.
Second.
Roll call vote on item K. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Director Epler, item L. Open discussion to approve resolution 2025-39 water sewer rates to include fire/domestic use.
And so this resolution is for the increase in water rates based on 4.6% increase with CPI. And this is for the minimal billing for water. For a 5/8 meter, we'll go up to $41.44. For a 3/4 inch meter, we'll go to $51.71. 1 inch meter, we'll go to $72.41. 1.5 meter, we'll go to $92.97. 2 inch meter, we'll go to $142.27. 3 inch meter will go to $239.62. 4 inch meter will go to $399.30. 6 inch meter will go to $665.38.
Any questions or discussion? I have never broken out with the motion item L.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-39 water sewer rates to include fire/domestic use.
Roll call vote on item L. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Director Epler.
Thank you, Clerk Strickland, for all your help with this.
Going on to item N, I'd like to open discussion to approve professional services with line of sight surveying. Manager Weir.
Mr. Mayor, Council, we went out to RFP for a on-call surveyor. We felt the need to do this because the money that we're spending with the surveyor could exceed $60,000. And we wanted to be prepared for that. Unfortunately, a lot of the work that we're doing right now, there's no historical data or, and there's, no as-bills for some things and so on. So some of the work that maybe was done 30 and 40 years ago, we're having to recreate. And that's why we've, had a lot of need to have survey work done. And this is just to put it under contract so we can, call in the surveyor when we have a new project that needs this type of work.
Questions or further discussion on item M? Ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve professional services with line of sight surveying.
Second.
Roll call vote on item M. Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item N, I'll open discussion to approve invitation to bid for FY 26 road materials price agreement. Let's go ahead.
Good evening again, gentlemen, and Madam Strickland. Before you, I'm asking permission to submit an invitation to bid for the road materials price agreement. This agreement goes out usually every year. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mayor Pro Tem Howell to make a motion on N.
I make a motion to approve an invitation to bid for FY 26 road materials price agreement.
Second.
Roll call vote on item N. Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And moving on to item O. I'll open discussion to approve recording of meeting and conversations policy. Henry McClendon is online.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Village Manager, Clerk Strickland. I'm proposing for your consideration a policy of recording of meetings and conversations. The purpose of this policy is to protect the privacy, confidentiality, and integrity of communications within the workplace. And I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions or discussion?
Mayor.
Yes, Manager Ware.
Mayor, Council, I just wanted, this is going to be an administrative policy as enacted right now, but we intend to incorporate this into the personnel policy in the next go round.
Mayor Pro Tem Howell, you would make a motion?
I make a motion to approve recording of meeting and conversations policy.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item O. Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, at this time, I would ask Mayor Pro Tem Howell to make a motion to postpone item P.
I make a motion to postpone item P, approve HUD contract for the workforce housing grant.
Second.
Roll call vote on item P. Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion to postpone passed.
On item Q, I'll open discussion to approve resolution 2025-41 Colfax County 2025 hazard mitigation plan. Advance.
Mayor Lindsay, members of council, Manager Ware, Clerk Strickland. Hello again. On May 13th of this year, H2O Partners and the Colfax County Emergency Manager Thomas V. Hill joined us here to present the FEMA and Colfax County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Our request following that meeting was for them to provide a more palatable report and reduce the 500+ page document into one that was made more specific to items related to the Village of Angel Fire specifically. H2O responded with 100 or so page document, which they labeled executive summary, and that was presented to council about a week ago, just over a week ago. Please keep in mind that we are adopting the original entire plan, is what I'm proposing, and not just the executive summary. My recommendation is that we pass resolution 2025-41, adopting the FEMA Colfax County Hazard Mitigation Plan to serve as a foundation to base all emergency management planning off of. I'll stand for questions.
Discussion. Not Mayor Pro Tem Howell, would you make a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-41 Colfax County 2025 hazard mitigation plan.
Second.
Roll call vote on item Q. Mayor Pro Tem Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Crane
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Chief. Item R, I'd like to open discussion to approve the appointment of Joshua Harris and James McElroy to the Recreation and Trails Committee. Counselor Weeks' absence. I believe there's both make a great addition to the Trails and Recreation Committee. That's Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the appointment of Joshua Harris and James McElroy to the Recreation and Trails Committee. Second.
Roll call vote on item R. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item S, open discussion to approve an IT contract switch over from Kosh to Artem Technologies. Mr. Don.
Yes, sir. So, right now, our IT services are being handled by Kosh Solutions. We're getting with them, cybersecurity. They're responsible for managing our server, our network. They're also providing virtual help desk services for all the laptops and PCs that are a part of our network. We've been having some challenges with them fulfilling those orders either timely or in a satisfactory manner. And because of that and some other issues that we had, like when we did the server room migration, we started exploring options. And we've had a couple conversations with Artem Technologies. And when we explained everything that we're looking for here at the village, both the challenges that we're experiencing right now and where we're planning on going in the future, they're eager to step in and take over that contract for us. Just to kind of give you a little bit of context, we pay a little bit over $17,000 a month all in for, that's not just for the IT services that are provided as a part of that, but it also includes licensing and software. That's part of it. That cost would still be there with Artem as well, because the licenses belong to us. So that would just be a transfer. But the core services themselves, we pay a little over $12,000 a month to Kosh for those services. And again, we're not exactly happy with what we're getting. Ileana, I don't even know if you counted the number of times the network has gone down even during this meeting. So we'd like to hand that over to Artem. That $12,000 that we're paying with Kosh costs us about $5,000 with them. And so it's over the course of a year, it's a significant cost savings. Knock on wood, it's hard to believe they could do much worse. So with that money, we'd also be able to add some other capabilities that we currently have not implemented yet because of the cost. And so we'd be able to get a little bit more software to take care of some of the things like planning and zoning want to do and finance director want to do as well. And we'd still end up saving money net.
And Mr. Mayor, Council, from my perspective, when Director Rendon took over because of his technology background, I'd asked him to become the go-between our technology provider and the rest of our staff. I will say that he has actually taken on the work as finance director much quicker than I anticipated. And I think he's reaching a point where it may not make sense to have him be the liaison any longer. And quite frankly, it may be something that we may need to look at hiring a part-time liaison, and this will free up the funds to do that.
Is there a penalty for letting Kosh go?
That piece, I'm gonna have to talk with Julie and we'll have to talk with Kosh on this. I know we had briefly kind of spoken just with Artem. I can't remember which one of us had posed a question to them. Have they worked with Kosh before on migrating? And I believe he said that he had worked with them before.
There's an out clause in the contract, like most of our contract.
Right.
Either party can leave with 30 days notice.
Okay.
Yeah, and our biggest worry was whether they were gonna be a cooperative partner
Right.
during the migration, because there will be some dovetailing between the two contracts. And the length of that is gonna depend on how, if Artem, if we're going to go with Artem Dillon and having to send an engineer out of here who would survey, take a look at our server room, and then just basically how we're configured here. They're gonna want to talk with Kosh to see what Kosh has been doing for us. That way they can kind of map out what it's gonna look like to get us migrated as seamlessly as possible. So that was a concern, is when we're letting Kosh know, hey, we're no longer gonna be using your services. How is that gonna go?
Right, okay.
They're optimistic. Artem Technologies is.
Mr. Mayor, Council. Also, because of their pricing model, which is actually less than $5,000 a month, they do not break the $60,000 threshold that requires us to go out to RFP again.
Manager, they're under a statewide price agreement.
And they're under a statewide pricing agreement. Yeah.
Okay, no further discussion, Mayor Pro Tem Howe, do you make a motion item S?
I make a motion to approve an IT contract switch over from Kosh to Artem Technologies.
Second.
Roll call vote on item S. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humber.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And move on to item T, open discussion to approve resolution 2025-40, participation in local government road fund program. Wow.
Okay, gentlemen, we were awarded $80,000 from NMDOT for this co-op project. This is plan and design of Upper North Ankle Fire Road. They require a resolution. If you want to accept this funding opportunity, a resolution is required. I request that you motion and second resolution 2025-40.
Tim Howe. Counselor Crane
Aye.
and Counselor Humber.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item U. The open discussion to move forward with Title 12 amendments to the village code. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Manager Ware. The language today in Title 12 references a variance option for the occupancy allowance for a short-term rental, but it doesn't state what a fee should be or what that process would look like. And so this is a very minor amendment to couple that language, that the council can set a resolution for what that fee should be for a variance, and that the village manager shall designate someone to conduct a process to bring before the council. Is that for any questions you may have?
Fee structure coming later.
Correct.
This is a permission to pursue.
No further discussion, Mayor Pro Tem Howe, make a motion on item U.
I make a motion to approve moving forward with Title 12 amendments to the village code.
Second.
Roll call vote on item U. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humber.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, item B, I'd like to open discussion to approve to move forward with credit card usage surcharge ordinance. Manager Weir.
Mayor, Council, right now, we primarily accept credit cards for utility bill payments only. And a few other exceptions like at solid waste. And we're just now allowing credit cards to be accepted at the airport. And the fees associated with those credit cards are substantial and impact our revenue. So what we're asking to do is to have a surcharge. This structure for a surcharge is in compliance with state statute. And what we need to do is we need to have the ability to charge a surcharge. We're asking for your permission to proceed with that through a change in the ordinance. And then we will eventually, once the ordinance is changed, we will come back with a resolution that has actual pricing in it.
I see that there's the surcharge of $2 will be imposed.
That is the recommendation that we're coming up with right now. there are some statute requirements in Mexico where it has to be uniform. So with the look at what we're paying on average, and trying to comply with the uniformity, that was the current recommendation. I will tell you that could change when we come back for final.
Any questions or further discussion? I ask Mayor Pro Tem Howe to make a motion on item V.
I make a motion to approve moving forward with credit card usage surcharge ordinance. Second.
Roll call vote on item V. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, at this time, I would ask Mayor Pro Tem Howe to make a motion to postpone item W.
I make a motion to postpone item W, approve consulting contract with RMT Limited.
Second.
Roll call vote on item W. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion to postpone passed.
I'd like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Howe to make a motion to move into executive session for NMSA 10-15-1H-2 pertaining to limited personnel matters. I would like to invite all counselors, Mayor Pro Tem, Manager Weir, and Chief Vance.
I make a motion to move into executive session for NMSA 10-15-1H2 to discuss limited personnel matters. Second.
Roll call vote on item X. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed. You guys will meet